So today we're going to look at our first lesson in transformations. So it's going to be lesson 9-1, Reflections. And so transformations, we're going to take about a week, and we're going to look at about 4 different transformations. Our first transformation we're going to look at today is a reflection. In general, transformations are basically just an operation that maps an original figure, which we are going to call the pre-image, onto a new figure, which we are going to actually call the image. A transformation can change either maybe I can change my color, it can change the size of your figure, it can change the position or its location, or it can change the shape. So the shape can go from a parallelogram to a trapezoid, whatever it might be. And so we're going to focus today on a reflection. So a reflection is basically taking this pre-image. So this is our pre-image here. That's a pre-image. And we're going to basically do this pancake flip over this thing right here. This is called your line of reflection. So this right here is my line of reflection. I'm just going to abbreviate it as ref, but it's your line of reflection. And then when you reflect it, you get this thing here, which is called your image. So another thing I want you to notice, that the pre-image has just a plain A, B, and C. Whereas your image after the reflection, you still have the same points, A, B, and C, but now you have this little apostrophe here, and that's not an apostrophe. It is read B prime, A prime, P-R-I-M-E, A prime, and C prime. The prime on these single apostrophes just indicates that that's the results of the reflection. So if you do not label your vertices on these shapes, I won't know what your result is, which is your answer. I won't know what to check. So let's go ahead and fill in these items. So a reflection is just a flip. We don't like that word in high school because it's a middle school word. We would prefer you say reflection, but a reflection is essentially a flip. It's a pancake flip over a line called the line of reflection. And each point and its image are the same distance from the line of reflection. So if you look at the pre-image here, look at this A. If you were to measure the distance that A is from this line of reflection, A prime is the identical distance in the opposite direction. Same thing with B. This distance here is the identical distance to B prime. Same thing with C. This distance here is the identical distance over there. So some possible lines of reflection could be the x-axis. Whoops. Forgot a letter. And then the x-axis, just to remind you, is this right here. It goes in this direction, right? And so it's a horizontal line. Or it could be the y-axis. So the y-axis is right here. It's that vertical line. So vertical or horizontal lines are always in the form of, let me get a better color. Why can't I change my colors today? I don't know why. Hold that thought. Wow. I guess it's not going to let me change my colors. That's weird. All right, so we're stuck with 4 colors. All right, so your vertical, so I'm going to do vertical in red. So your vertical, and if you think about those are vertical lines right here, don't they go through the x-axis? So a vertical line, if it goes through the x-axis, it's x equals a number. So that is not a hashtag, that is a number symbol. That's an X. Hard to believe, but it's an X. And then for our horizontal lines, I'm going to put that in green. Horizontal lines go through, here's your horizontal line, it goes through the y-axis. So any horizontal line is going to go in this direction through the y-axis. So it has to be y equals a number. Now you're also going to have diagonal lines. So diagonal lines are going to be in the form of y equals x or y equals negative x. And we learned how to plot diagonal lines for a reason and vertical and horizontal lines for a reason prior to this unit. Now those lines are in the form of y equals mx plus b. So let's go ahead and just look at some simple reflections. So I'm going to make this bigger and straighten it up. There we go. So I'm going to work on 1 and 2 with you, and then I'll have you do 3 and 4 on your own. So the first thing I want you to have handy is a highlighter, 2 different colors, and probably a pencil. Colored pencil would be great if you can erase the colored pencil. And so pause the video so you can go gather those things, and a straight edge, and then restart the video. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to highlight our line of reflection. So right here, this is my line of reflection, is the x-axis. So if this is my x-axis right here, I'm going to highlight that because I want my eyes to be on that line of reflection. Then the next step you're going to do is plot your pre-image. So your pre-image are these 3 points here. So what I would like you to do is plot A, B, and C, pause the video, plot A, B, and C, because that's going to tell you whether you remember how to plot an ordered pair. Because some of you have forgotten. Don't forget that this is your x value, and the x goes in a right-left direction. Right is positive, left is negative. This is your y direction. The y-axis goes up or down. Up is a positive direction, down is a negative direction. So pause the video and plot A, B, and C. So for A, you're going to start at the origin and you're going to move left 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up 2. So we're going to plot that point right here, and we're going to title it A. Then for B, you're going to plot 4, 7. So from the origin, you're going to go to the right 4 and up 7. And you're going to plot a point right there. And we're going to title that B as in boy. And then for C, we're going to plot 5, 1. So to the right 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and up 1. Plot a point there. And we're going to title that C. So then we're going to draw with a straight edge some lines, and hang on, put it up. Okay, and then our last line. So there is our pre-image. So this is our pre-image. So that's not our answer, but that's our pre-image. So then I highly suggest that you do everything visually. There is some math behind it, which I'll discuss with you in a minute, and it only works for reflecting over the X and Y axis. But if you're mathematically inclined, you might prefer that better. But most of us are visually impaired and spatial reasoning impaired. And so I highly suggest that for reflections, you're just going to look at the ordered pair, and to reflect this, determine how far is it from this line of reflection. So point A is 2 units from the line of reflection. So then you just want to go in the opposite direction, 2 units in that opposite direction, plot a point right here. So if I plot that point right there, I'm going to title it A prime because A prime is my reflected point, right? So I went from here, I went up 2, that's a distance of 2, right? Well, A, distance of 2, and then I went down 2 in the opposite direction. Then we need to identify that ordered pair. So from the origin, you have to go right, left first, and then up, down. So we go left, 1, 2, 3, 4, so that's a -4 for the x value. And then for the y value, we have to go down 2. So since it's down, it's -2. All right, so then for the B, I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 away. So I want to count 7 in the opposite direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and plot a point right there. That is going to be my B prime. Don't forget to label these, because if you don't label them with A prime, B prime, C prime, I don't know what your answer is. And so then we have to identify that ordered pair. So we're going to go to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So right 4, which is positive, and down 7, which is negative. And then finally C. C is 1 unit away from the line of reflection, so we want to go 1 unit opposite direction and plot it right there. And we're going to title that C prime. And then we're going to identify that ordered pair. So from the origin, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so positive 5, and down 1 makes a -1. So 5, -1. And then we're going to connect those points with a straight line. So using a straight edge, I've connected those. So as you can see, this, and let's label that just for our purposes here, this is our image. Now let's talk briefly about the math. Notice that if we reflect over the x-axis, look at your original ordered pairs here. Look at your x values, -4 for A, -4 for A, 4 for B, 4 for B, 5 for C, 5 for C. When you reflect over the x-axis, the x values did not change. But the y values, look at A, 2 went to a -2. For B, 7 went to a -7, and for C, 1 went to a -1. So when reflecting over the x-axis, you could keep your x values the same for your pre-image and just change the signs of your y and plot those points. I prefer to do it visually. That means I don't have to remember yet another way to do something, but there is math involved with that you could use. Oh, look at, and my my little lines are not staying with it. So give me a moment while I get rid of these. No, I don't want that. Hold on. Oh my goodness, I successfully got rid of that. That was an effort. All right, sorry. So what I want to do now is reflect over the y-axis. So we are going to highlight the y-axis, which is right here. And that's going to be our line of reflection. So let's go ahead and plot the image that they gave us, which is our P, Q, R, and S. So go ahead and pause the video while you plot those points. So this is the last, so pause the video. Okay, so this is the last time I'm going to go through exactly how to plot points, but for the point 1, 2, that means we're going to start at the origin and we're going to, oh my goodness. Try that. So we're going to start at the origin right here, and we're going to go to the right 1 and up 2. So there's our point for P. And then for Q, we're going to go right 2, up 5. So from the origin, right 2, up 5, plot a point. And there's Q. And then for R, we're going to go right 8, up 3. So right 8 puts us there, and up 3 puts us right there. And then for 7, you're going to go, or for S, you're going to go right 7, up 0. So right 7 would put us here, and up 0 means don't go anywhere. So you're going to plot S here, and then connect your points with a straight edge. If you don't connect your points with a straight edge, sometimes it's hard to tell if you have the same shape or if you messed up your shape. Okay, so there's our pre-image. We are going to reflect over this line of reflection, which we're going to do a flip over here. So this should end up over here. So you can use the math if you want to. You can hypothesize about the math that if we're reflecting over the y-axis, our y value should stay the same, and then our x's are going to change signs. Or you can just go visually. Let's start with P. So P is 1 unit away this direction, so go 1 unit in the opposite direction. So we're going to plot P prime right here. And if you identify that ordered pair, that is left 1 up 2, so that's a -1, +2. And then for Q, so Q is 2 units away, so go 2 units on the opposite side, plot your points. And then for Q, to identify that ordered pair, from the origin, we went left 2, but up 5. So -2, +5. So then the next one is R. So R is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you want to go 8 in the opposite direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Plot a point. We're going to title that R prime. And then identify that ordered pair from the origin. You're going to go to the left 8, but up 3. So left 8 is negative, up 3 is positive. And then finally, for S, S is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 away. So go 7 in the opposite direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, plot a point. And title that S prime. And then identify that ordered pair from the origin. We went left 7 and up nothing. Left 7 and up nothing. And then we're going to connect the ordered pairs with a straight edge. And there you have it. So if you want to talk about the math, when you reflect over the y-axis, notice that the y value stayed the same as your pre-image, but the x values changed signs from the pre-image x's. All right, so then what I want you to do is of course those are not moving. I want you to pause the video, and then I want you to do 3 and 4 on your own and then restart the video. Okay, so since we are reflecting over the y-axis, you should have highlighted that y-axis, and then your pre-image is left 5, and then down 2. So here's F. Your G is -2, -2. Your H is 0, and then down 6, which puts you here. And then your I is left 8, down 6. So connect those with a straight edge.
One-minute warning.
Okay, so then to reflect those, we're going to count the distance. So G, let's start with F. F is 2, 4, 5 units away. So 5 units away on the other side would be over here, F prime. And so that ordered pair would be to the right 5, down 2. Okay, and then for our G is 2 units away, so you want to go 2 units on the other side. So here's your G prime. And then to identify that ordered pair from the origin, you go right 2, down 2. So right 2, down 2. And then your H is on, your H is on the line of reflection. So that means it's no distance from the line of reflection. So H prime is also on that line of reflection. So it's there as well. And then I is 8 units away. So you're going to plot 8 units away over here for I prime. Oh, we forgot to identify H. H is the same as, H prime is the same as H. So we went 0 right or left, but then down 6, so that makes that a -6. And then for I here, from the origin we went right 8 and down 6. So that would be a +8 and a -6. Then connect your dots with a straight edge. Oops, that one wasn't so straight. Oops, that wasn't straight either. I'll get it eventually. Here we go. Okay. All right, and so there we have it. So then let's look at the next one. Of course not. Give me a moment. Okay, magic happened. So I got rid of the old stuff and put in the pre-image and highlighted the line of reflection. So to get your reflected figures, so we're going to start with W, and we're going to go 2, 4 from this direction, so go 4 in the opposite direction. So there's your W prime. And then for your X, 2 and then 2. So that gives you your X prime. And then for your Y, we're going to go 2, 4. So go 2, 4, plot that point. There's your Y prime, Y prime. And then finally for Z, we're going to go 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6 in the other direction and plot that point. And call that Z prime, and then connect with a straight edge. And as you can see, my shape is not changing, it's just changing positions. The final thing you have to do is identify your ordered pairs. So for W, we're going left 2, up 4. So that's -2, +4. And for X, from the origin, we're going right 1, up 2. So 1, 2. And then for Y, so we're going to go right 4 and then up 4. So that should be a +4, +4 for Y prime. And then for Z prime, we're going to go right 1, up 6. So 1, 6. For the next two problems, we are going to go ahead and change from the x-axis to the y-axis to just a plain vertical or a horizontal line. So I'm going to do 5 and 7 with you and then have you do 6 and 8 on your own. So go ahead and, well, let's talk about real quick. This time your line of reflection is x equals 4. So if I'm going to draw the line x equals 4, I need to put, remember, on the y-axis a point at 4, or sorry, on the x-axis a point, x equals x-axis, a point at 4 on the x-axis. So that's where the x-axis would be 4. Then I want to cut through this x-axis. I can't cut through the x-axis this way. That's in the same direction as the x-axis. The only way to cut through the x-axis into two pieces is vertically. So I am going to put a vertical line straight through there, and that's my line of reflection. That's your x equals 4. So then go ahead and pause the video, and I want you to plot your pre-image, your J, your K, and your L, and then restart the video and check with me. Magic. So there's your pre-image. So then we are going to do the same thing, and we are going to reflect this image over this line of reflection and end up over here. Because x equals 4, that's what we're reflecting on. You can try to determine the math if you want to. I just find it easier to do it visually. So let's start with J. J is 1, 2, 3 from that line of reflection. So we want to go 1, 2, 3 in the other direction. So here is your J prime. And if you identify that ordered pair from the origin, not from here, this is your origin, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So write 7 down 1. So your J prime should be 7, negative 1. And then we're going to look at K. So K is 1, 2 away from the line of reflection. You want to go 2 in the opposite direction. So here is your K prime. And we want to identify that ordered pair. So starting from the origin, we're going to go right 2, 4, 6. So right 6, up 3. So positive 6, positive 3. And then finally our L. Our L is 1 unit from the line of reflection, so you want to go 1 unit on the opposite side. So here is your L prime. And to identify that ordered pair, you're going to go right 2, 4, 5, down 2. So positive 5, negative 2. And then we want to connect our points with a straight edge. And voila, we're done. So then let me do 7 with you, because that is a horizontal line of reflection. So let's go ahead and look at those. And I'm going to magically get rid of these right here. And so why don't you pause the video? I want you to see if you can plot this line of reflection, which remember you're going to be at the y-axis at 2, and the only way to cut the y-axis at 2 is this direction horizontally. So pause the video and plot your line of reflection and your pre-image points. Okay, magic. Here is your line of reflection at y equals 2, and here is your pre-image. So then we're going to reflect this pre-image, and let's do C first. So C is 2, 4, 6 units away, so we want to go 2, 4, 6 units up here. So we're going to plot a point all the way here at C prime. And then that ordered pair is to the left 4 and then up 8. So negative 4, positive 8. And then for our D here is 2 units away, so 2 units on the other side would put us here. So that's our D prime. And to identify that ordered pair would be left 2, up 4. So left 2, up 4, so negative 2, positive 4. And then our E is 1 unit away, so we want to be 1 unit away. So that puts us right here at E prime. And to identify that ordered pair, we're going to go to the right 2, 4, 6, and up 3. So positive 6, positive 3 for E prime. And then finally for F, F is 2, 4, 5 away. So 2, 4, 5 puts us right here. So plotting our point, right there for f prime. And then to identify that ordered pair from the origin, we're going to the right 2, 4, and up 2, 4, 6, 7. So 4, 7 is our F. And the last thing that we have to do is connect those points with a straight edge. Oop. There we go. So that's a reflection. So what I would like you to do is pause the video, and I would like you to do 6 and 8 on your own. So pause the video, do 6 and 8 completely on your own. And now you see magic. So look at yours and see how well you did. If you missed something, pause the video. You're always welcome to ask me questions. If you're trying to figure out what you did wrong, shoot me a remind text or come in and see me in class. All right, so let's look at number 8. All right, so that should be your graphing of the reflection for number 8. So pause the video if you need to figure out what you did wrong on that one. So the next two that we're going to look at is 9 and 11, and then I'm going to have you do 10 and 12 on your own. So moving to 9 and 11, what I would like you to do, well, let me go ahead and get rid of these shapes that went with it for a minute, so hang tight just a second. Okay, so let's talk about how are we going to graph y equals x. So our line of reflection is now going to become diagonal. So there's a reason why we went over graphing lines in the form of y equals mx plus b before this unit. So if you recall, m is your slope and b is your y-intercept. Okay, so over here, our slope is the coefficient of x, which is 1, and you're missing your b. So if you're missing it, it's not 1 because it would say plus 1 if it were 1. If it's missing it, it has to be plus 0. So doesn't that mean that your y-intercept is 0 and your slope is 1? So if your y-intercept is 0, you're going to start here on the y-axis at 0, which is the origin, and you're going to stair-step your slope, which remember slope is rise over run. So we're going to do a rise of 1 and a run of 1, or change both signs, a rise of -1 and a run of -1. So I want you to plot this diagonal line all the way across your graph. So if I go up 1, right 1, plot a point, up 1, right 1, and all the way across the graph, go up 1, right 1. You can't just do a swoop. I need to see the ordered pairs, because if you are inaccurate on your line of reflection, you'll end up losing points on your overall graph. Okay, so then, let's see if I can do this as a, oop, I knew I was going to do that. Well, maybe I'll do it that way, and then I'll highlight it. So let me draw a straight line through here. And then I am going to highlight that. So there's our line of reflection. And I'm not going to do a type of line like y equals 2x plus 3 with you. We're just going to do y equals x or y equals -x. So let's go ahead and plot our pre-image. So x is left 5 and then down 2. Oops. Quite so big. So there's my x. And then my y is left 3 and up 4. And then my z is left 1, up 1. Then I want to connect those with a straight edge. So there's my pre-image. Now, it's going to be difficult to count distances diagonally, because diagonally you would have to go perpendicular to this line. So to get the distance for x, you'd have to go one diagonal unit and then a half of a diagonal unit, which isn't always going to be easy to do. So instead, you're going to have to do the math. So let's write out here. I'm just trying to determine what color I want since my program's not letting me change colors today. All right, so let's do, oh goodness, I'll go ahead and do it in blue. So to plot image, because remember you just plotted the pre-image, so to plot your image, we are going to have to use algebra. You are going to just switch the x and y. So you're going to take your pre-image, so in other words, to find x prime, you're going to take your pre-image and just switch the -5 and the -2. So if we switch those, we get a -2 and a -5. All we did was flip-flop the x and y, and we got this. So let's plot -2, -5, and look to see, is it equal distance from the line of reflection? So -2 means I'm going to go left 2, -5, down 5, and it puts me right over here, which is on the other side of the line of reflection where I want to be. So I'm going to plot that point and title that x prime. And if you look at this, remember I said we'd have to go perpendicular to this line, so that's a diagonal distance of 1 and a half a diagonal. Then on the other side, a half a diagonal and a diagonal distance of 1. You can't always count on going by diagonals and halves because it might not be a perfect diagonal. It might be a partial. So we want to use the math, but they are definitely equal distances from that line of reflection. So let's go ahead and finish up the other math portion of this. So for the y, we're going to flip-flop those. So we get a 4 for the x and a -3 for the y. So to plot that, I'm going to go to the right 4 and down 3. And I'm going to title that y prime. And as you can see, that appears to be equal distances away. And then for our z, we're going to flip-flop these. So my x value becomes 1 and my y value will be -1. So that means I'm going to go from the origin to the right 1 and down 1 and title that z prime. And as you can see, those are definitely equal distances away. So the last thing we have to do is just connect the points with a straight edge. And you can see that our shape has not changed, it's just reflected. Now if you want to check this, fold your paper along this line of reflection and hold it up to the light, and you ought to see this figure exactly match that figure. It's a great way to check it. So then I'm going to talk to you about how to do y equals -x in number 11, and then I'll let you do 10 and 12 on your own. But first, let me get rid of these shapes. Okay, so let's talk about how to graph y equals -x. So on this one, we are missing the y-intercept, which of course would be +0, which means we start on the y-axis here at 0, but this time our slope is equal to -1. So we put -1 over 1, or change the signs, +1 over -1. So that means we have to go in one negative and one positive direction. So you're going to want to go up 1 but to the left 1, up 1 to the left 1, or down 1 to the right 1. So let's plot each of those points. So your line should be tilted in the opposite direction. And yes, you do need to go all the way across the graph. It does not take you that long. So then connect these dots with a straight edge and then highlight it. finally, I want you to plot your pre-image. So we're going to plot that. So A is left 1, up 3. And B is not right or left at all, but up 6. And then C is to the right 3 and up 5. And D is right 2, up 2, and then connect those with a straight edge. Hold tight. I've got a hair on my screen. I don't know where that came from. All right, I know you couldn't see it, but I could. Okay, so that's our pre-image. So because it's different than y equals x, it's y equals negative x. To do the math to reflect this, you're going to have to do two different things. So write yourself the note to plot the image. You have to do two things. So thing one is you are going to switch, just like we did before, with the y equals x. You're going to switch the x and y. But you are also going to change both signs, not just the x or just the y, but both signs. So for our a prime, we're going to flip-flop these and change the signs. So our x becomes -3 and our y becomes +1. -3, +1. I'll prove to you that it works because if I reflect this, I want to be over on this side of the line. And a should be just about over here, right? So left 3, 1, 2, 3, and up 1. Lo and behold, that's just about where I said it would be. So plot your point and title that A prime. Then for B, we're going to switch these and change the sign. So our x becomes -6, and y stays 0 because you can't change the sign of y. So we get -6, 0. That hair is back again. Goodness. I think it's my pug hair. All right. Sorry about that. All right, so then let's plot that. That means I'm going to go left 6 and up nowhere. So that becomes B prime. And you can see that the B's are equal distance from that line of reflection. Then for C, I'm going to flip-flop these and change the signs. So my x becomes -5 and my y -3. And I'm going to plot that, which would put us right about here, which is C prime. And if you look at your C's, because I always like to do this, the C's seem to be about equal distance away, so that looks good. And then for my D, we're going to switch these and change the signs where they're both 2. So when you change the signs, they become -2, -2. And if you plot that, -2, -2 is down here, and that's your D prime. And if you look at your D's, they are the same distance from that line of reflection. So then let's connect our points with a straight edge. That was terrible. Do it again. Okay. And as you can see, the shape has not changed, and it definitely is reflected. If you don't believe me, fold your paper along that line, and you can see that this exactly overlaps that. So then what I want you to do is I want you to pause the video, and I want you to try 10 and 12 on your own, and then I will just put up the answers. So it should be pretty quick from here. Okay, so here's your answer for 10. So make sure you check everything. They are definitely equal distances from the axis of or it's from the line of reflection. And then over here, all you did was switch the X and the Y so that you could plot that point. So now I'm going to put up 12 for you to view. So here's your answer to number 12, and as you can see, to get these ordered pairs, you had to switch the X and Y and change the sign. So that's how I ended up with these. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to text me, and your homework will be homework 1, Reflections, all of it, 1 through 6. Good luck.